Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is located over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have a seat. At this point in time, we are just like so honored to have you all here tonight. This is our new location, and we didn't know quite how to plan as far as chairs, so we apologize that some of you will need to stand for a few minutes. We will try to be very quick with our organization section of the school board meeting tonight. So in January of every year, the school boards are asked to reorganize. So at this point in time, we're at the first item on the agenda, which is the election of officers.
Swearing in.
Where?
Yeah, item 3, Janice, is the organization for swearing in of the new elected.
Okay, I must have a different agenda. Okay.
You and Don and Cindy need to step.
All right, we're ready for the swearing in of the school trustees for 2017 with Judge Mr. Tom Stefani.
Would we step around?
No problem. You don't have to, sir.
Don gave me his, I must have mine from
Okay.
home.
No problem.
If I can get each of you to please raise your right hands. Repeat after me. I state your individual names.
I, Don
I,
Benson,
Janice Malcolm,
Do hereby solemnly swear or affirm
do
Do
hereby
hereby
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
Constitution
Constitution
of the State of Indiana
of the State of Indiana
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully
I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of my office
of
of my office
as a member of this governing body,
as a member of this governing body.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Judge, thank you.
Judge Stefaniak, thank you again for joining us tonight and honoring us. All right, so make sure I have the right agenda. All right, we are ready now for the election of officers.
Right. For president, I would like to nominate Janice Malco for president of the Lake Central School Board.
And I will second that nomination.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much for the honor. I appreciate it. So now I run the rest of the meeting, right? All right. I'm new at this, kind of in a way. But now we are going to entertain nominations for the vice presidency.
I would like to nominate Don Baxo, please.
And I will second that also.
Very good. And we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Motion carries. And for secretary,
I would like to nominate Sandy Lessentine, who unfortunately is absent this evening, so in absentia, I'm going to nominate her. I hope that's appropriate.
I think so, yeah.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor for Sandy Lessentine for secretary. Any questions or discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same side? Okay, motion carries. So we have our 3 officers. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is a reaffirmation of the school board's code of ethics that comes out of the Indiana State Board of Education and the Indiana School Board Association. Basically, the premise behind it is children come first. It's not about us adults, it's about doing what's best for children. We did receive that in our board packets. Does anyone have any questions
No.
about that?
That's
Okay.
fine. I would move that we abstain from reading it in its entirety and move forward with an affirmation by the existing board.
I second that motion.
Okay, any discussion or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. We reaffirmed our code of ethics. Now we will establish the school board compensation, and I believe it was in our school board packet. I recommend we continue what we have done in the past, but I would like a motion from another board member about that.
Move to approve the school board compensation for 2017.
All right.
Cindy, you-
I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same side. Motion carries. And now, item D, appointment of the school attorney. In your package, you received a recommendation to continue with our school attorneys. Are there any questions or suggestions?
No, I would like to make a motion that we accept the administration's recommendation as appropriate with the, I believe there are 3 school attorneys we've identified for different functions, correct, Larry?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. And Dr. Rocco, the appointment of the treasurer, please?
Kathy Ramba, current sitting treasurer, we recommend retaining.
All right.
I'd like to
So
make a-
moved.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to retain Kathy Ramba.
Okay, thank you. I will second that then.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries, thank you. Liaison committees, I would like to recommend the following.
You wanna talk about the park real quick?
Yeah, I'll wait
Claire
till we
works.
get at the end, what do you think? Yeah, I'll do that. First of all, let me explain with the liaison representatives that our purpose is to go to the meetings and attend them and represent Lake Central and then bring the information back to the school board. We're a non-voting member. So I wanted to make sure everyone knew that, because I never knew that until about 2 years ago, maybe. But we would additionally like to consider adding the Dyer Park Board representative. I know they have broached us a couple of times about, they would like a liaison to attend their meetings, and I'd like some discussion from our board members, how you feel about that?
I feel like I could represent on the Dyer Park Board if it's required or if it's necessary.
Okay. Any concerns from
No.
Howard or
No, I have no other comments or feelings at this point.
Mrs. Suze, any?
No comments.
All right. All right, so at this point in time, then we'll go ahead and add that liaison committee to our
Mhm.
list. All
Okay.
right.
Sounds good.
So currently then, we would have the Westlake Managing to be Mr. Marshall, Personnel to be Mr. Marshall. The Legislative would be myself, Janice Malco, and of course, all of our board members. Wellness will be myself. Dollars for Scholars will be Cindy Suze. Dyer Redevelopment would be Don Batso. Shara Redevelopment, Sandy Lesentine. St. John Redevelopment, Cindy Suze. Education Foundation, myself, Janice Malco. Dyer Park Board, Don Batso. And any questions or suggestions about the liaison committees? Everything's cool? All right, that's what I like to hear. All right, and we need a motion to accept those.
I would move that we accept the president's recommendations.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries, thank you. And the conflict of interest policy. Again, that was received in our board packet. I believe Cindy is.
In addition to board members, any employee who would have any conflict of interest, meaning they have any family member who does business with the corporation, would be required to fill out that form so that it's on the record, and Mrs. Suze has already done that, and if anyone else would need to, there's not a hard and fast deadline, but you would need to get that done as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, so we are making a motion to,
Affirm that we will complete the conflict of interest policy if necessary.
okay,
So moved.
very good,
I'd like to second that.
very good. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
I move that we adjourn the organizational meeting.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So moved.
Madam President, can I
Yes.
make a quick comment? For the audience's benefit, this is a new venture for us tonight in this room. I don't want anybody thinking that there's a, let's say, harsh feeling between board members. We're down here at the end. I think at the next board meeting, we're gonna gravitate closer to the other board members in a seating arrangement. So, if anybody had that thought, dismiss it from your mind. Thank you.
Oh, I never thought of that. All right, now we are ready to start our regularly scheduled board meeting. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. And has everyone received their packet in advance and reviewed it and asked their questions directed to Dr. Bracco or his team members prior to this meeting? Done? Back
Yes,
so?
yes, ma'am.
All right, and, sorry, I'm getting the right agenda out here. Okay, Mrs. Lesentine is absent, and myself, yes. Mr. Marshall?
Yes, I have, thank you.
And Mrs. Suze?
Yes, I have.
Thank you. All right, agenda, approval, deletions, and additions. Dr. Bracco?
Yeah, seek board approval for the agenda with a couple of minor adjustments, and that would be a revision to the minutes, which can be found at your table, and then on the verification section on the revision, we replaced Dr. DeVries with Mrs. Suze. That's all.
Move to approve.
Second?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Well, Mrs. Lesentine is not here, so we don't have any correspondence to share. The liaison committee updates, really, we have not met because we've been on holiday break, unless someone within that group has something to report.
Just an indication, the next Westlake program is at the school town of Munster, and correct me if I'm wrong on the date, I believe it's the 24th? Excellent. 4 o'clock in Munster. Thank you, Becky.
Any other reports?
I have none.
Okay. I know the Education Foundation Committee just met. They will be releasing another round of grants in the very near future. All right, official school board topics. Dr. Bracco.
Thank you, Dr. Malco. Seek a board approval for the minutes from our December 12th meeting and approval of claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures that you received in your packets last Thursday.
Move to approve.
Second that?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, thank you. And going ahead with regular school board business topics, but before we do that, Dr. Bracco, I forgot to mention, if you want to sign in to address us at the end of the board meeting, there's a sign-in sheet over beside Mrs. There, Mr. Bagley's holding it up. If you would like to sign in there, if you'd like to address the board at the end of the meeting. Thank you. Okay, moving ahead, Dr. Bracco.
Okay, thank you again. My first item is to accept a Bed's direct donation. Chris Paul lives in Valparaiso, and with the weather turning a little bit earlier this evening, he chose not to drive over, so he's going to send that check in, and we will accept that as part of Mr. James's agenda next meeting. So we are going to dispense with our first item for this evening and get right into the school board recognitions of our Spell Bowl teams and some of our outstanding young students, and we'll start with Bibbage Elementary and Principal Dee Dee Logan.
Go down through.
Yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you this evening so that we can recognize some outstanding students. We recently held our elementary Spell Bowl competition at Kaler Middle School, and I am proud to announce that our team did very well. I'd like to first bring up their fearless coach, Michelle Snow. This year, we had a team of 14 fourth grade students. They were led by our coach, Michelle Snow. In the local competition, Bibbage came in first place in their division, and at the state level, out of 77 teams, they received third place.
Isn't that
in the
awesome?
competition.
All right.
understand when we call your name, if you could come all the way around, up over here, and then we'll shake hands and we'll pass out your certificates, okay? And then wait right over here so your parents can take some nice pictures of you. All right, Colin Archer, you get to be first. Marianne Polly. Megan Gervick. Dylan Hines. Nikki Iannucci. Jacob Johnsma. Anthony LaWoo. Ellery Moss. Vince Massiani. Jack Moore. Peyton Morris. Adrian Pena. Gabby Rotundi. Michael Smith. One for you too, Miss Smith. Can we please have all of the parents of these wonderful children stand? Thank you all for your support.
Awesome, thank you, we appreciate that.
They want to take pictures.
Yeah,
Any parents want to take pictures of the children over here?
yeah, go ahead, come on over. Come on down. Oh, yeah.
You guys stand in front of the adults now.
There you go. Get your boots over. Not sure where we look, right? Awesome. Good job, guys. They're live streaming us too. Did you know that?
Great job.
Great.
Awesome.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Great job.
So next up, we'd like to introduce Cassandra Cruz, principal at Coling Elementary.
Gosh, am I that much shorter than Mrs. Logan? Thank you. I'm here to represent Coling. Coling participated in the Spell Bowl this year as well. It's been 10 years, as I understand, since Coling has participated. And so we were very proud. We had 10 fourth grade students who were a part of that event. And we were able to place third in the local competition. And though we were listed as 10th place out of the 77 teams in our division for state, we actually tied for 9th. So we were very proud of that accomplishment. We like to thank all of our students who participated in that, and of course their parents for supporting them in that as well. So to our students, same protocol. If we can start here down at the end and shake hands with me and the board, and then stand off to the side. We'll get your pictures afterwards. So first up, we have Braden Cooper, who I believe had a perfect score. Is that correct, Braden?
Super job.
Thank you. Next, we have Vanessa Roy. I forget that I have to teach. We're going to grab with our left and shake with our right. Some of us are doing this for the first time, huh? Nico Marinkovic. There you go.
Congratulations, Nico. Good job.
Remember, we're gonna practice. Grab with our left, shake with our right. Aaron
job.
Zich.
Congratulations, Aaron.
Adil Khan.
Congratulations.
Casey Barron. Nathan Amesqua. Madison Mindeman. There you go.
Congratulations.
Catherine Conroy. Caitlin Bernard.
Good job.
And our team was led by our fantastic sponsors who were Mrs. Yothman and Mrs. Bussey, who are not able to be here with us, but they were part of it as well. Thank you. And boys and girls, if you can bring it in really tight right in front of the board who's here to recognize you tonight for your achievement. Thank you.
Come on down.
We gotta get really close.
Did you want to get in the pictures first? Will somebody take it?
Sure.
Hold still now. Almost done. Awesome. All right, congratulations. All right, and I wanted to thank you all for coming tonight. Again, this is our first meeting in here, and we are live streaming. This is our technology team from the high school. So I'm not sure how you watch it, but how do they go? Is it like right on the website?
It's on the corporation webpage.
On the corporation webpage. All right, very good, very good. And I always have to say this because I'm so proud of what has happened with Math Bowl and Spell Bowl in Lake Central. Years ago, there was this principal that went to this teacher, and her name was Michelle Snow, and she said, hey, would you try Spell Bowl? Nobody up here in the region is doing it, but everybody down around Indianapolis and Lafayette, they participate. And you know what? Miss Snow was the risk taker, and she said, yes, I'm going to try it. And look how it's grown and developed. And look at what it's done for us. Thank you.
So we are going to venture through the rest of our agenda. You're certainly welcome to stay and hear the rest of the meeting, but if you need to get home for homework or any other reason, this is a good time to go. Yeah. But I would guess Alabama.
That would be Alabama, I just have a question.
Since they have 30 pros on their team.
I know every year, their whole team gets drafted.
Thanks for coming by. Yeah, but Martha just said it just came because she's interested. It's George Brundle right there. Yeah.
See you, Jason.
Nice to see you too. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Yeah, the check is being mailed. Every time, you know, he's the part of the Science Olympiad, but we should be George and, yeah, you came for the Science Olympiad check to represent the Science Olympiad team. Yes, and your name again, sir? Okay. Well, thank you for coming tonight, and I apologize that the weather kept our presenter away, but.
Of course, thank you for
How-
having the meeting over for us.
Oh, yeah, and how's Science Olympiad going? Are you,
It's getting started. Our competitions
if I'm not mistaken, last year they got like 4th in the state, am I correct? That you were way up there with Bloomington North and Bloomington South, and so keep up the good work, we're really proud of that.
Yeah, great job.
Appreciate that dedication.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Christian Flores, our transportation director. We talked last fall about making some bus purchases this year, and that we were going to have the seat belts installed on those as a phase-in. Of course, as you phase in a plan like this, that means you're going to have a handful of buses with seat belts, but by and large, the vast majority won't. And so having rules and trying to get students to use these extra safety features has taken a little bit of thought. We just wanted Christian to come and talk about some of the things that he's been working on. So take it away, Christian.
Good evening, board, and thank you for the opportunity to come and present to you this evening. I first wanted to just thank the board, the administration, the local level building administrators and their staff for supporting this endeavor. I think it's a great opportunity. First and foremost, it's just an additional safety measure for our students, so thank you for that opportunity. The process was kicked off with a couple of parent correspondence that went out over Christmas break to the parents, just letting them know just what our process was going to be. That first correspondence went out on December 28th, and the second being on January 5th. Included in that email, which was sent through our school messenger, we sent a parent letter just indicating what buses this would be affecting, the schools that would affect. Also, in addition to that, there was a handout that given the proper protocol on how to wear the seat belts, where the belts should be worn properly, their backpack should be taken off, and things of that nature. So, and then lastly, in that correspondence was our disciplinary protocol that was implemented there. I'll go through that a little bit here as we talk further. But that correspondence went out to about 1,600 different email addresses. So feel very confident that majority of the people got that information and were able to come back to school today with the proper things to help them move forward. So as far as the schools that were involved, we have Watson was the elementary building that we decided on. That school got 5 buses that was equipped with 3-point lap and shoulder belts. Grimmer was another school. They had 4 buses. Clark had 1 bus, and obviously the 5 buses that were at Watson also come here to the high school. So those are the buildings that were involved. Had an opportunity to go out to the elementary building today as well as the middle school. And as I said, thanks to their staff, helped and went on the buses just to make sure that the kids understood the proper procedure, how to wear the belts, and it was a great afternoon. So one of the main motivators, and when I presented this to Dr. Baraka, was that when I first started here, the first time I talked in front of this group, I said our number 1 priority when I come to work every day is the safety of our students. And with this implementation, I think it just has an additional benefit for our students, for safety for them. As we all know, buses are the safest form of transportation for students, and we feel that just adding these seat belts is just another layer of safety for them. Just some quick things as far as the bus size. The buses are the same size, still 48 passenger. In an elementary bus, you can fit 3 students to a seat, and there are 3 seat belts per seat. So obviously in high school and middle school, you probably won't do that, but for the little guys, we can fit 3 to a seat. As far as our disciplinary protocol, our first infraction, we're basically just going to reiterate our expectations. Let me step back a second from that. I met with our drivers today and just asked them over the next couple weeks to be not lenient, but kind of coaching them, mentoring them, talking them through the process. Based on the information that I got from them and feedback, it was a very successful day. We really got no resistance, no resentment from kids. They were very compliant, and so I think the biggest thing is that those drivers had good relationships with those students, so it made it a lot easier. So as I stated, our first infraction is basically just reiterate the expectations. Our second infraction is to assign a new seat. Third infraction would be a parent contact coming from me. Our fourth and fifth would be a disciplinary report, but I'm hoping and I'm confident that with the things that we put in place, with communications that are sent out, that we won't get to that step. So ultimately, that's where it would happen, but like I said, I'm confident that we will not get to those. couple more things as far as our implementation plan. The way that we will roll this out, as Mr. James has presented to you in the past, our 12-year bus replacement plan. As we replace those buses, these buses will fall in line with that. So what I did this year is Watson had the smallest amount of buses, full-size buses. So the thought process was to start there. We utilized all 5 buses for those routes within a building. So the next bus, or the next building that we will go to will be Piper, which has 6 buses. Then we'll move on to Proxman, Holman, Bibbage, and Colon. And respectively, those numbers get larger as you go on to the bigger buildings. But some of those bigger buildings may take a couple of years to transition over to the new process. But we feel that going one elementary building at a time is the most beneficial opportunity for that. And then in closing, I just wanted to share the administrator for the National Highway Transportation Safety Administrator, Mark Rosebein, back in November of 2015, confirmed their stance that 3-point bells for every child will be on every bus. So as I've done more research, I just feel as if this is going to be coming down the pike, either through the state legislature or national. So I felt that getting ahead of the curve would be a better opportunity to try and catch up later. So, like I said, overall, it was a very successful day. I look forward to hearing more feedback from the drivers and the principals and the teachers throughout the rest of the week. I plan on coming over to the high school, but most of the kids here, you don't really need to tell them how to do it, just make sure that they're wearing it. And then at the one building that I didn't make it to today would be Clark, and they only have 1 bus, so my plan is to get there sometime during the week. So with that, anybody have any questions? Or?
I just want to say it's great that you're taking such a proactive stance on this, knowing, recently you hear in the news what happened in Chattanooga with that bus, and, not knowing if they had seatbelts on that bus or whatever, but just knowing that we are taking that, or you're taking that proactive stance, for the safety of our children, it's great. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What is the trend in the state of Indiana? Are most schools not doing this? Or are they moving forward?
Throughout the Indianapolis area, there's a big rapid growth within there. Indianapolis Public Schools just purchased 100 buses, and all those buses were equipped with lap and shoulder belts. So the trend is growing. It's just, I think it's a matter of taking that leap of faith and going out there and saying that you want to make sure that you're taking that extra step for your students. But I think as the information is presented to the different directors, I'm also the regional director for the School Transportation Association of Indiana. So in my meetings that I have with the other directors throughout Lake and Porter County, I'm going to continue to promote it and hopefully get some more folks on board. So, but I think, like I said, within the next couple of years, it will eventually become law.
So there is legislation out there to be considered for this year.
Right.
Oh, okay. And did you say there were buses at the high school with the seatbelts?
There are. Yeah, there's 5 buses at the high school, which ultimately trickle down into the other buildings because those 5 buses are servicing the other buildings as well.
And so the high school students are wearing the seatbelts too? Wow.
And from the drivers that I talked to, there was very little pushback, even, yeah. And I knew that would be the case. I mean, it's different than when we were all young. We weren't used to wearing seatbelts, but these kids that are in school now are familiar and comfortable with wearing it. So I think it's going to be a win-win for all involved.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, it's a great idea. I think for years, there's been a dialogue out there. Why do we not put seatbelts on these school buses? Yeah. Yeah, so it's a great idea. Any comments from Mr. Marshall or Mrs.
No,
Sears?
I just felt it was a good report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you
opportunity.
for your
Thank
time
you.
tonight.
Thanks for coming out, Christian. My next item is to seek board approval for Mr. Gandolfi and I to attend a collective bargaining seminar February 24th in Indianapolis. As the board knows, we don't use our attorney for our negotiations. We do it directly with our teacher leaders. And so we always want to keep abreast of anything that could be new coming down. They have an agenda published that we think is worth our time, and so seek board approval for that leave.
Move to approve.
Second it?
Oh, go ahead.
Pardon me, second it?
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Mhm.
My next item is to do a quick review of our current general fund expenditures. You have a cash flow. You have a copy that I delivered before the meeting, and then you have a nicer color-coded copy from Mr. James.
He's got the color printer.
It really relates to a conversation we had before the Christmas break relating class sizes and an imbalance at Coling, an issue that was addressed by Ms. Cruz through moving some students. And we had some discussion amongst the board to add a section which is unpopular at the middle of the year, and also based on our current expenditures for this school year. As you see the lower right-hand corner, you can see that we're overspending this year by an estimate between $450,000 and $500,000. And so we want to be conservative on expenditures as we head into the end of the school year, and we're hopeful that in this next legislative session that we get some relief in the form of increased contribution, tuition support from the state. But I did want to share that update with the board on the spreadsheet, and also let them know that the second grade classes at Coling are balanced now.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my final item this evening is just to share some information that I received recently, and that would be, you got it in your packet last week, the surveys from our local representatives. For the benefit of the audience, we met with Mr. Slager, Mr. Niemeyer, and Mrs. Olthoff back on December the 8th to talk about how legislation and other issues were affecting Lake Central schools. And then we got the surveys, and what caught my attention was on the House Republican survey, the number one item was seeking input, and it was the only education item on their survey, seeking input on whether the state should require schools to spend 65% minimum of their total budget in classroom activities. And as we shared with the legislators that day, 65% is an arbitrary figure. It doesn't, there is no research that suggests there's a magic percentage of money. We all would like to see smaller class sizes and more support in the classroom, but there is no magic number. And the example I used with those legislators that day was when we fixed the high school and built Protzman new, we more than doubled our debt service. So when you add $9 million of debt service cost per year, and it only goes to the denominator of your equation, your percentage drops. And so I think it's on my list because it's something that we're going to meet with our legislators again on March the 3rd, but I don't think we should wait. I think we individually need to reach out to our representatives. We've established that relationship. We need to let them know. If we took every single dollar the state gives us for our general fund, for our operating fund, we would still be short of 61% of this formula into the classroom, which means if we eliminated central office, if we didn't clean any classrooms anymore, if we didn't turn the heat on or the air conditioning and spent every dollar on what they consider to be classroom expenditures, we'd be at 61%. I've tried to explain to as many people as I can that all of these things are essential. Mr. James has produced a sheet for us, actually it comes right out of the machine, where he codes the expenditures. And I'll challenge them again the next time I talk to them. In the last two categories, what they consider to be overhead and operational, what in there is excessive? What in there do you think that is not a prudent expenditure? And so I don't think we can let this rest, because despite the fact that we talked to them recently, it's still staying as a top item, and it's troubling because it doesn't make any sense. So that was an item that caught my eye on the House Republicans. The Senate Democrats, their survey that came to my house, their only education item was to seek interest in how much support there is for expanding pre-K. And as I've said many times before, I'm all for expanding pre-K as soon as you properly fund K to 12. So I think we need to continue with that message. The House Democrats, their survey did include 4 education items. They included items such as do we need to look at the excessive time we're spending testing? They also asked about pre-K. There's an item on there about increasing local control. meaning the state backing off on mandates that are unfunded, the state backing off on telling us how to do our business. We have an elected school board that is intelligent and can guide the administration to make decisions that are in the best interest of our community. And so that survey it was better done. When you look at how much legislation is out there right now, there are all sorts of education bills, and quite honestly, none of them ask for much input other than the House Democrats, of which there are 11 out of 50. The Senate Republicans, they only sought input on pre-K, but they did also ask about using student scores on teacher evaluations. So I was happy to see that, because as our board knows, we're very much opposed to that, the using of student test scores in teacher evaluation. We're happy that we evaluate every teacher every year. We're happy that we get in and see people more than once, but we believe, we know good teaching when we see it, and we don't need to use student test scores. The test scores of students who may not have been with us the whole year, who may not have felt well that day, who may have other issues going on that cause them not to perform, and that should not reflect on a teacher's evaluation. So I wanted to just update the board on this, because these are talking points you can have, and I suggest that we keep up the communication, be it through a typed letter that's sent. We have their texts. They've told us we can contact them that way. We have their email at both the State House and their private email, and I think we need to make sure we weigh in before any of these pieces that could hurt us, again, get too far along. So I'd open it for any questions from the board at this time, but you have a couple documents that I think could come in handy for you.
Any questions?
No, Dr. Bracco, I think you said it all. I'm glad that, publicly you're coming out and taking that stance. And yes, we do have to follow up prior to March the 3rd. I think it's essential.
Yeah. Does everyone have the personal emails for the 3 legislators?
I do.
Okay, so I'll make sure you get that, Cindy. And I don't think that I have Mr. Niemeyer's phone number, if you have that.
I can get that to you.
All right.
Yeah.
But you probably don't have the phone numbers either, do you, Cindy?
We just have house labors.
Okay, and we can get you the other 2, so, okay. I guess I'm not sure why this 65% keeps coming up. I mean, what's the importance of that? I don't get that.
I think that's the question we need to ask of our representatives.
I mean, there's all this other stuff coming at us major, and we're worried about controlling our budget at the local level. I don't understand that. Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Bracco, for sharing those reports. Did you have any other questions, Cindy or Doug?
No.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, I'm going to move on to Mr. Gandolfi's short section, and first item on his is to seek board approval for the personnel packet that you received last week. Move to approve.
Second?
Any questions or discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Okay, motion carried.
Thank you. Before we move on, I just want to briefly congratulate Tony Bartolomeo. Tony has served us in many capacities, and he's putting on a bigger hat, I guess. But we're excited to have Tony lead our program, and he came with his family tonight. So, Tony, if you'd like to say anything, our board, or if you want to introduce your kids, that'd be good.
Yeah, this is my wife Angela, my son Rocco, and my son Tony, and we're very excited and grateful for the opportunity. And we're looking forward to making Lake Central football something we can all be very proud of. And we're ready to go and very excited to start. So thank you all very much. I'll see you out there.
Congratulations.
And so how old are your children?
Oh, my son Rocco is 9, and my son Tony is 12. And Rocco goes to Coling, he's a 4th grader, and Tony is at Clark, he's a 6th grader.
Very good.
And Angela teaches at Clark.
Oh, very good. Yeah, well, thanks for joining us tonight, and congratulations, and good luck.
Good luck. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Okay, Mr. Gandolfi's second item is to introduce Mr. Enyart to receive some information about the fall athletic season.
When I arrived this morning, I provided the members of the board a packet of information. So our fall sports, on the first page, you'll see that we had 311 total athletes this fall. We had 109 females and 202 males. What we're most proud of is the performance that our kids do in the classroom. We're always looking at getting that better. And we had 118 of our 311, which 38% were on the All-A honor roll this year. On the next slide, or next page, is our Duneland Athletic Conference and our standings. Our girls cross country finished second. Our girls golf was tied for first. It was a three-way tie this year. Our girls soccer finished fourth and volleyball finished fifth. Current all sports standings for the female side is Valparaiso first, Crown Point second, and Lake Central third. On the boys side, we had cross country that finished second place at the DAC invite. Football tied for fifth place, soccer was first, and tennis was third. So at this point after the fall season, Lake Central is in first place in the all sports standings. And we run that through every season, and we'll see where we end up at the end. Last year we were second in both, so hopefully we can improve that. On the next page is our postseason results. Girls cross country, they won their sectional and regional as a team. They advanced, and then in semi-state they advanced to the state meet. Highlighted by Sarah Hunsley's fifth place finish at the state meet overall. So she had a great race and did a great job, and qualified for the regional qualifier and went over to Ohio a couple weeks later and ran over there as part of Team Indiana. Girls golf, the team won sectionals and regionals, advancing the state as well. And they were highlighted by last year's state champion, junior Alexis Miastowski, and she finished third this year. Weather played a part. She was one stroke off of tying it up and moving on to a playoff. So she did a great job. Girls soccer, they lost in the advanced to the sectional championship game where they lost to Highland. Girls volleyball lost to Lowell in the second round of sectionals. And on our boys side, we had cross country. They won the sectional, and as a team, they advanced two of our runners to the state meet where they went on. We had one runner finished in the top 30, and one got his feet wet this year. So learned that the state meet's a little different, great beast out there. Football, we lost in the first round of sectionals. Boys soccer, we won the sectional, and we advanced to the regional, and we lost to Munster in a 1-0 game. It was a very well played game. And then boys tennis, we lost in the sectional championship, but we did advance our number one doubles team of Keith Crawford and Richard Larson. They were both seniors to the regionals, and then they fell to a Penn doubles team that ended up being the state runner-up. So they had a very successful year. On the next page, you'll see our income for the year, or for the fall seasons. We have gate receipts, we had advertising, season passes, Pepsi products, the team fundraisers and fees that are collected. That's both for the $60 athletic fee as well as the fees to participate. Concessions, in the fall we were able to run concessions. We ran them at soccer this year, and then we still run them for volleyball. And then the IHSA, we get a small amount back based on performance of your teams and the cost associated with their travel. So our total income this year was, or for the fall, was $254,884.78. Game receipts is a big piece of that. That was almost, or a little over $76,000. And then football is the bigger piece of that, and that was almost $57,000. Our expenses on the next page. We have game workers, which is our security, our ticket takers, our additional supervision. I mean, outside of our administration that comes to the games and helps. We have people that have to take care of the officials, and take care of not just the officials, but also our runners. So game workers cost us about a little over $14,000 this fall with all of our events. Officials was a little over $11,000 to pay the officials for all of our home events. Field maintenance and equipment was almost $130,000 this year. which a big chunk of that was the video boards that we purchased this summer that got put in right before the football season. If you went to a football game, you saw it. If you've been to our varsity boys or girls back home games, you've been able to see it. The young man that runs it, Tyler, he does a great job. So we're very appreciative of our class, that they do a great job. Our LCTV, they put some videos together for the football, but then in basketball they could even get a little more creative because we had some time, and they did intro videos like you'd see at a college when you go to, with music in the background and everything. So the kids enjoyed it. It's a great environment, but they do a great job, and we're equipment, team gear. That cost us, or that price tag was $120,000 this year. Training room and weight room, just improvements, getting all the tape that we need, all the ice bags and everything that goes into that. The ice machines that are around the building, that was almost just shy of $15,000. The corporation transportation fee, that was one of the fees we collect and we provide. That was $10,530. Miscellaneous, that's office flowers. If we have, one of our coaches or somebody within the family, the Lake Central family that passes away, we make sure we send an arrangement out. Banquets, the certificates, the awards, the plaques, coaches' fees, membership dues, all that. So that was just a little over $14,000. And then the hospitality and banquet rooms every Friday night for football. We have a hospitality spread that we give for officials and our workers and our administrators, and then our fall banquet, that was $12,340. But the big chunk of that's the fall banquet, which costs based on numbers, was just shy of $8,000 for us to provide that meal, which we love doing. If you feed them, they will come, is our theory, and so we make sure we feed everybody when they come. So our total expenses this year, we expected to spend more than we had, but we have a very healthy cash balance in the athletic department. So our total expenditures were $326,950, but when you're getting into a $100,000 video board, you're expected. But for us, that's a return on an investment. That's how I see it. We had basically 1 month once we got the approval to purchase them before the fall season started, and we were able to get a little over $50,000 in corporate sponsorships. At the end of this month and beginning of February, we're going to get back out into our community and talk and meet some more businesses and try to boost that even a little more. But the support's been great, and we're looking forward to continuing that. So just some additional costs on that last page. We did some JV baseball field improvements. We're still working on the infield so we can stop having the standing water so the geese will stay off our field. It was a lot better last spring, but this year we have improved it, and we're hoping that it's up to the level. And then we also did a cross-country course improvement. We're hosting the DAC meet next year, so when they start, by the time they get to where we enter the wooded area, the path was pretty narrow. So what we've done is take out some of the corner, and Hubinger did that project, and we graded it down and added a little, or they sodded. They just did it the other day. So that was just completed this week as well. So, but to give them more room to access that injury point, so it's not such a pinch point there at the injury. And then football helmets, we had several football helmets that failed inspection. Every year we have to do inspection, and that we purchased several helmets at approximately $11,000 this past football season. So.
Wow. Okay, any questions? What is the price of a football helmet?
Depends on what kind you get.
Oh.
You can go cheap, but most of ours are going to be between $200 to $350.
Oh, really? Okay. And the cross-country course, runs like back into the tennis area and
yeah, it's at the starting point is behind the tennis courts where the practice soccer field is.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at our property, it'd be the northeast corner of the property, right behind that U-lock area. Yep. They start there and they kind of angle right across the soccer field into the wooded area, and they do a couple laps in there.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
And what we did was open it up at the southeast or southwest corner of that soccer field to give them some more access.
So are Tyler's video presentations at at every basketball game?
Yes.
Oh,
Every home varsity basketball.
awesome. I bet that's a nice touch.
Yep, it's been great. We got a lot
Boys-
of compliments, and they do a lot. Boys and girls, yep.
Boys and girls,
Yep.
okay.
It's a little 3-minute video that they got together.
Cool, very good.
Glad to see it tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for coming out tonight.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, and moving ahead to Director of Primary Education.
Yes, I'll be covering for Mrs. Schulman.
Okay.
For her first item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave request as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. And for the next item, I am going to go through the Lake Central School Corporation letter grade as well as each individual school's letter grade. The overall corporation letter grade was a B. At the elementary level, we were very proud to see all 6 of our elementary schools received an A. At the middle school level, Brimmer and Kaler were both B, and Clark was a C. And at the high school level, we were a B. Our schools benefited a great deal from them redoing the metrics that they used to calculate the school letter grades. They factored in growth, and we saw some good growth, which is always a positive thing. Our kids are making gains, but of course we want to continue to work on that performance side. Any questions?
Do you want Clark got a C?
There were some decreases in the math scores, and those performance scores, plus a slight drop in the language arts performance scores brought them down a bit. They did show some good growth. We just need to work on the
Work on
performance side.
those areas.
Were they a C last year?
No, they were an A.
That's what I thought, that's a, yeah. So even though they have growth, there's a decline in their grade.
Correct, because of the performance side.
Yeah, which goes to tell you why, we need to reevaluate our system that we use to grade our schools, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is that coming out of strategic planning by any chance? A better way to possibly look at how to grade our schools?
Well, I don't know about a better way, but, we certainly want to use
It's gotta
multiple
be better.
measures. We're just not interested in having a one-day, one-time test. Either say you're an A or a C. I mean, there needs to be more measurements that are shared with the public. And honestly, I think our public is smart and they can decide how well we're doing when we report multiple measures.
Agreed. Very good.
Here, here.
Here, yeah, definitely. Appreciate that.
Any other questions on the letter grades?
No.
All right, should I move into my part of the?
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. For my second item, I am going to bring up Mr. Sean Bagley, who is going to talk about some proposed new courses at Lake Central High School for the 2017-18 school year.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. For next year, we are excited to offer a few new courses. The first is an advanced health. That would be a follow-on from the first health class. It would be focused on healthy living, chemical dependency, getting in depth, making good decisions. So that would be an elective class. Another class that we are presenting is the it's a tech help, not an internship, but our students be working on assisting teachers and students with getting on the Wi-Fi, making minor repairs to the infrastructure, and helping out our school body as we start moving more and more into using devices to enhance education.
And Mr. Bagley, how will that differ from the intern or two that you have this year?
Well, with the interns that we have this year, this would be in addition to. It would be in addition to. Right now, we have some interns that, we have our cadet teachers, we have our, we have a few students that work in the machine shop. That
I was referring to the one or two that you have in the tech department.
Oh, they work in the tech department with Mr. Marino, and they have a limited access to working on the hardware. This would be more of a tech thing that you have at like, that you get those assistants at Best Buy,
Like Best Buy.
where they come out and
Yeah.
you have the hardware, but now you have to know how to use it. So they're the ones that kind of, one of the things is, within the first 2 weeks, I would like every student to be able to be on Wi-Fi, to be able to get on Naviance, be able to get on Canvas, and to be able to get onto Skyward. So then those teachers would be able to understand that, hey, as soon as they walk into my room, this is something they're able to do. And if a teacher's having problems with their printers not working, or they're having trouble with software, those students can come up and help out.
Is it elective?
It would be elective.
So the device that they're going to be working, so would each student have their own device? Still be?
No, it would not a school-provided device.
It would not be a school-provided device, so it could be my phone.
Yeah.
It would be my phone, so.
And we'll also be assisting with the many Chrome cards that we have now, thanks to the common school loan. We've seen other districts, I've gone on advanced ed visits, and I think that Mr. Bagley and our tech trainer, Myra Lokuma, have also talked with some other districts that do something like this, and it's really beneficial to the students. A lot of times they can go find a job at Best Buy after they've been able to work in our department with some assistance, and that's a great opportunity for them.
And we're at the point now where we have 13 Chrome carts at the high school where it's getting tough to manage. And Mrs. Locuma's true job is tech trainer, and she should be focused more on that position. And those students can help. Just as simple as making sure that all the Chrome cards are plugged in, they're all accounted for. They go out, they all come back in, they're all plugged back in. If sometimes you have some minor, like they're missing a key, or there's the power pack goes out, they can do those minor repairs and make sure they're up and running.
And so the teacher of this class, do you know who that would be yet?
Not at this point.
Okay. And that connects okay with technology department then, and you're gonna love the help.
Yeah. I think that, it's gonna help break out a lot back there.
Yeah, okay, all right. I really like the idea of the advanced help. I mean, wow, right on that one. Awareness, mindfulness, what are we doing to ourselves? Decision making.
Mr. Bartolomeo.
Feels a missing piece.
That's gonna be a really nice one, so. Any other questions from Mr. Bagley? No. Okay, well, thanks for coming out again.
Thanks, Sean.
For my third item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave request as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
And for my last item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip request as presented. Move to approve.
Second.
Again, okay.
All right. Any questions, comments? All right. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I never asked for a vote, did I? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We have someone new at our table. We're so excited to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for making me part of the group up here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Very important part of our education system.
Thank you. For my agenda item tonight, I wanted to share some information that's already been shared with Mr. Marshall and our Westlake Managing Board, but it's some changes to our early childhood classroom that we will be putting into effect for next school year. So this is for the 17-18 school year, and there's a handout at your station related to this. I am not going to read all of it. That's probably more information than you ever wanted to know about early childhood. But just so everyone understands, we provide services for students age 3 to 5 in our preschool program. For the students who have already been identified with a disability through early intervention, which in Indiana that's first steps, we have to have them evaluated, a conference held, and they have to be in our classroom by their 3rd birthday. So we don't have much control over that evaluation schedule when we get that information, but we have to have them. That's a state compliance measure if they're in our classrooms by their 3rd birthday. because these are students who have not been with us before, our early childhood teachers participate in the intake evaluations. So they are there with the parent when the parent brings them in to be evaluated. They're writing that initial IEP and participating in that case conference before the student comes into our classroom. Those evaluations take about an hour and a half to 2 hours per student. That depends a lot when you're working with 3-year-olds on their level of compliance and willingness to engage in the activities. So as of November 1st this year, we had already completed 35 evaluations within Lake Central. So those are 35 3-year-olds coming into Lake Central. And when you look at the amount of time that's taking, our teachers are averaging 1 to 2 days out of their classroom per week. And so when you're looking at early childhood students, and these are 3 to 5-year-olds who really need that consistency, it makes it hard for the teachers and for the students, especially in those first few weeks of school where we're really trying to get the students in a routine. In addition to those evaluations, we are required by Indiana Article 7, which is our special ed law, to conduct screenings to locate other children in the community who may be in need of services. And our teachers are also out of the classroom for that. So in response to our teachers' concerns about their ability to meet students' needs with the amount of time they're out of their classroom, I worked with Allison Mazurkowitz, who supervises our EC program here, to get some information from other districts. That's summarized for you here. But what we found out when looking at what other districts do is that we were one of the few programs to really have classes available 5 days a week. Some of the majority of our surrounding districts in Northwest Indiana and over into North Central Indiana are not providing classes 5 days a week, and instead using time for those evaluations, so you're not pulling teachers out of the classroom. So moving into next year, what we are planning on doing is in our 5 of our 6 early childhood classrooms will only be open to students 4 days a week. Our structured learning program, which serves our students with autism and most significant needs, they will continue to attend 5 days a week. But the rest of our programs will run a max of 4 days a week. We will rotate which days the teachers do not have students, so that then we will have 1 day a week, a teacher available 1 day each week to participate in evaluations. When they're not working on evaluations, they'll be holding their case conferences, so it really should minimize the amount of time students are without a teacher, and really help us to be more efficient and provide more consistent services to those students. So the teachers feel really good about it. They're excited about the change. I think they would have liked us to implement it even sooner, but it's going to take a little bit of planning on our part. So that will be going into effect for next year. It will only impact our teachers. Our speech and language staff is shared between programs, so they will continue, with their regular schedule. And then what we'll do with our paraprofessionals on the day when there aren't students in the class they're assigned to, they'll be available to work as substitutes, which should help us with our sub shortage that we experience in special education as well. So again, that's for the 17-18 school year. Questions?
Do you have any intern program where you bring in any college students to help and assist, like from Purdue County Med?
We don't at this
Purdue
point.
Northwest? I call Purdue County Med.
This year what we started is our students in our TAP program, which is our program for students ages 18 to 22 with special needs. They're actually doing some job training in our preschool classrooms, with the idea that they would then be able to go out and work in maybe a child care facility. So we did start that this year. Actually, just last week was contacted by an outside person who would like to look at working with our preschools for some job training. So I haven't had much of an opportunity to investigate that yet.
It just seems like it'll relieve some of the load on the teachers and so on.
It is. It's a very special population of children, so we do kind of have to be careful that people know what they're getting into and are able to meet the needs of our kids, which is the most important part.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions? All right, thanks for the report. We appreciate that. And moving to Mr. Ledger.
Thank you, Dr. Malkow. I'm happy to report tonight that Dr. Baracco and I attended the Plan Commission at St. John last Wednesday, January 4th, again regarding the transportation projects. and we finally did receive approval last Wednesday. So we have that approval now, so now there's some other things we have to do before applying for the building permit, but those are already underway. And I'd like to thank Golf Inc. for honoring their bid from September while the approval process went forward. And we've already sent a contract to them, waiting upon it returned, and we'll be breaking ground on the salt building when the weather breaks sometime in March.
Bill, my heart stopped for a second when you said you met with St. John. I thought you were going to talk about the site.
No, we wanted to get through the transportation.
Okay.
So,
Just stop for a second. Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Ledger? Okay, well, that's a big step that you made, so congratulations, gentlemen, and
Thank
keep
you.
moving forward there. Right, all right, and Mr. James?
Thank you, Dr. Malcolm. I just want to give the board a couple quick updates here. On December 21st, all taxing units in the Lake County received their final tax settlement for last year's property taxes. And I'm happy to report that we had a collection rate of 98.4%. That was very consistent with our average. I think we're at a little over 97 last year. So I want to just personally thank all the taxpayers in the Tri-Town area for paying their tax bills. And to the county for giving us that money on the 21st. Legally, they have until the end of the calendar year. So thank you for that. Also, just want to give an update on the tax anticipation warrants that the school board approved on November 21st. Those went out for bid and came in at 2%. It's a little higher than we've had in the past, but as you know, the Fed's also raised interest rates here in December, so an increase was expected. That money was received on January 3rd, and those warrants will be repaid a little bit June 30th, but mostly at December 31st. So any questions on that? Okay. And finally, I have a few donations that I seek your approval for. First, on the receive side, the Caleb dance team received donations of $100 each from the family of Maya Pizak, from Keller William Realty, and from Dyer Bacon Trust. On the given side, the Clark Paws for a Cause Club would like to donate $500 to the St. John Animal Control to purchase supplies and bedding for the animals in their need. The Clark Theater Department would like to donate $200 to a needy family in the area that is going through some hardships with some medical expenses. That family is involved with the Clark and the high school theater. And so they thought donate $200 to them. The high school theater also raised money for some recent performances and would like to donate $75 to the American Cancer Society. And finally, the high school Habitat for Humanity Club recently sold bracelets that were made by people in a third world country as part of what's called the Pulsar Project. And those bracelets are made in the third world country, they're sent here, and then they sell them, and then the proceeds go back to those individuals who made them. And so they like to donate the entire $835 that was raised from the sale of these bracelets back to those individuals through that organization. So I seek your approval on all those donations received and to be given.
And do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve those donations.
And
I'll second it.
We have a second? All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any questions for Mr. Ledger, or for Mr. James? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. No comments from the community tonight. All right, very good. And board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall, can we start with you, please?
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Cindy to the board. It's not that we're sorry to see John go, but I think we've improved the looks of the board. John knows me well. So. Okay. Also, I hope everybody receives the new venue that we're sitting in tonight. I like the closeness, the atmosphere, myself personally, but we'll see how it shakes out. Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Suze.
I look forward to serving the next 4 years at this time.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And Mr. Betts. So.
I'd like to congratulate Cindy as well and welcome aboard. And As you know, she was very quiet this first board meeting, and I can recall my first board meeting. I was just as quiet as her. I also want to say that I'm honored to serve again on the Lake Central School Board. It's great to serve with such great administration and great, board members that I have up here as well. And I wouldn't want to serve on any other school board.
That's nice of you. And I thank you all for joining us tonight and for bearing with me on my first meeting. I was so nervous. I was like, gee, plus I've been sick all week on top of it, so I never knew if I was going to have a voice or not. So Don was my backup here if I needed him. But thank you all for coming out, and I think there's a very important football game going on tonight, right?
Yes, there is. 14-7, I don't know. Gamma.
So,
We really do have good Wi-Fi in here.
do you have anything, Dr. Bucko?
We'll be back here in 2 weeks.
All right.
I move
Thank
for
you.
adjournment.
I second that motion.
And meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming. So who's winning?